Chapter 3. Coach and Develop Others. In Chapter 2, we considered how Toyota leaders self-develop. In this chapter, we will look at the flip side of self-development, delving more deeply into how Toyota leaders coach associates to help them unlock their leadership potential. Leaders are responsible for creating an environment in which future leaders can blossom. This environment must simultaneously nurture and severely challenge the potential leader, which seems contradictory, but is seen as complementary within Toyota. In manufacturing, a big part of these challenges are naturally generated by the Toyota Production System, TPS. TPS creates challenges to force employees' development. The Toyota Production System itself is largely designed to create continual challenges for leaders and team members. TPS was displayed as a house to illustrate that it is a system and operates fully only if all the elements work together. Ono used to say that the Toyota Production System is designed to make problems visible, to challenge people so that they grow and become better problem solvers and better people. TPS, as you reduce inventory, more rapidly exposes problems and creates a never-ending stream of opportunities for on-the-job development and increased challenges. Toyota Sensei do not need to create artificial training situations in which something goes wrong or there is a specific fix that trainees are supposed to find. TPS not only drives the company toward perfection, but also creates the opportunities for leadership development, both self-development and developing others, that are necessary to fill the leadership pipeline. A3 problem solving makes the thinking process visible. For managers, Toyota uses a standard approach to problem solving that is known as Toyota Business Practices. The single-page report details the problem. The leader defines the gap between the current and ideal states, breaks down this huge gap into a smaller subproblem, sets a target for the subproblem, works to identify the root cause of the problem, identifies possible countermeasures, tests the countermeasures, checks the results, and defines further actions required. The goal of filling out this A3-sized report, of course, is not to fill out the form perfectly or to have the perfect problem-solving process, but rather it makes the leader's thinking process visible so that he or she can be coached. The coach is able to see a succinct summary of major points, ask challenging questions, and in this way push the leader to think some more in a deeper way, sometimes, for example, going back to the Gemba to investigate some more. The coach will not accept the first writing of the report as done and will continually pepper the leader with questions and challenges and try to get the leader to think more deeply. Without the coaching, the A3 is simply a report, a lifeless document. TBP is an 8-step process based on the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle of quality guru J. Edwards Deming. Let me summarize again the 8 steps of TBP. Number 1, define the problem relative to the ideal state defined by the leader. What should be happening? This is the first step of the plan. Second step of the plan, break down the problem into manageable pieces. Third, identify the root cause. Number 4, set a target for improvement. Again, we're still in the plan. The final step of the plan is to select the appropriate solution among several alternatives. Finally, in step 6, we get to doing something, which is trying out the idea. And then in step 7, we check the results of our experiment. And the problem solver does not leave his role until he keeps checking, further adjusting the process, going through cycles of PDCA until it has been demonstrably stabilized and has run without problems consistently for a period of time, usually months. In step 8, there are some additional adjustments made. We standardize and spread the results as appropriate. The countermeasures are standardized and may be shared with others who might find this useful for their own problem solving. Results are not to be blindly copied and stamped out like a cookie cutter, but rather considered when others are going through their own TBP process. Learning to manage vertically and horizontally the development of T-type leaders. Top leaders at Toyota must become T-type leaders. The concept is pretty simple. A T-type leader gains depth of understanding and experience in a particular technical area, the long stem of the T, then broadens out to gain exposure across the organization, the top horizontal part of the T. This is sometimes referred to in Toyota as growing deep roots before the tree branches out. The depth within a specialty would test the patience of many young people who think they should be on a fast track to a management role. The leaders who advance the furthest in the company have gone beyond their specialty to take on horizontal roles and to manage across departments. Moving horizontally works so well at Toyota because of the emphasis on Toyota business practices as the core competency of leaders. As a leader moves up the ladder, the technical details become less important than the approach to thinking scientifically, working step by step to achieve very challenging goals. A massive commitment to developing leaders. Toyota's goal is to have a ratio of about 1 leader for every 4 to 6 people, with some variation depending on the level and department. The aim is to provide enough teachers and coaches to support each employee so that actual development of employees and leaders can take place. Toyota does not believe that flat structures actually save anything. In fact, it believes they are ultimately more costly than the more hierarchical coaching structure that Toyota uses. The large span of control that is typical of many Western organizations is in some ways more wasteful because in this environment there are limited opportunities to guide people's development and coach potential leaders. Developing leaders the Toyota way. The key job of a Toyota leader teacher is to teach the student to take responsibility for her self-development, yet remain accountable for the results. Toyota needs capable, highly developed leaders and problem solvers at every level of the company. Therefore, people's development cannot be left to chance or happenstance. And it cannot be the responsibility of anyone other than the leader or manager who is closest to the Gemba and directly responsible for the people who need developing. Toyota places so much value on the customers and the value-adding team members who serve the customers that it often seems that the hierarchy is turned upside down. The value-adding team members are at the top and are the most important, and the supporting leaders must prove their worth by demonstrating how they are helping the team members better perform their jobs. The concept of servant leadership has been incorporated into leadership development at the Toyota plant in Kentucky in the United States. The Toyota approach is not unique to Japanese culture. The core tenets and approaches are found in many cultures around the world. Clarifying expectations and accountability through visual management. Leaders and teachers must set clear expectations for those they lead and be able to clearly judge their progress toward both results and development of scientific thinking skills. At Toyota, they say that any problem is a gap between standard and actual. The standard can be the current expected high level of performance or a stretch objective to a new, even higher level of performance. Visual management is about making clear the current gap between the standard and the actual performance. A key reason for the dedication to visual management at Toyota is that it clarifies expectations, determines accountability for all the parties involved, and gives them the ability to track their progress and to measure their self-development. Every metric that matters throughout the company, especially on the shop floor, is presented visually for everyone involved in meeting the goal to see. For example, the A3 reports are often posted on visual display boards. They are standardized and designed to follow a pattern that can be easily understood and digested at a glance. It's hard to imagine a problem-solving exercise that does not involve creating diagrams and charts of a system or process to help people visualize the current condition and clarifying their thinking and make sure that nothing has been missed. The role of the leader mentors to ensure that visual management systems are focused on the right issues and can be easily understood. In conclusion, leaders who bring in lean consultants often make the mistake of assuming that they can buy someone to manage the lean effort. They do not see that they must themselves self-develop if they want to have any hope of succeeding. Many companies that pursue lean programs experience short-lived success in project areas, but that success often quickly dissipates. After that, the question comes, how can we sustain these lean gains? The answer to sustainment is to work harder at developing leaders. Sustainment is an ongoing process of continuous improvement. The most important lesson from Toyota is the high value it places on developing others. The company is patient and is willing to spend the time and money to do it right. It takes not years but decades to develop senior executives through a process of deep training, coaching, and broad experience. Great quote by Akio Toyoda, president of Toyota Motor Company. The job of a leader is not to put them in positions to fail, but to put them in challenging positions where they must work hard to succeed and still see how they could have been even better.